Okay, it's 1 o'clock, and I welcome everyone here today. I'll open this concept brief for the Miller Ranch POD. I just want to let everybody know that we do not have public comments during this meeting today. You're welcome to stay and listen. And with that said, I'll turn it over to you, sir. First, I think we do a 30,000-foot overview of what you're trying to accomplish here, the changes that you want. I think you need to be specific about that.
Sure.
I'll speaking for myself. I've got a lot of concerns.
Sure.
So I guess if you could just start with an overview and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I'll reintroduce ourselves for those that weren't at the community meeting last month. I'm Doug Hatfield. It's my partner, Corey Phillips. We're the C&D and C&D Land Company that purchased Miller Ranch. Garrett Graham is here on behalf of PCS, who's our land planner consultant. So that's who the three of us are. Okay. Corey and I bought Miller Ranch. I think we closed in September, Corey. Mm-hmm. And with the idea in mind was to continue on with Miller Ranch with additional density that was approved originally under the PUD. And I'm not sure which year that was approved. So our concept plan, and I want to emphasize, it's a concept plan that looked at what kind of density we could go on there within the boundaries of the property, and also with the 40% open space requirement that we understand Elbert County requires. So then within that leftover space is what kind of density could be placed on the 60% of the land that's developable. So that's the kind of the overall concept where we started. So with that, we instructed Garrett and his team to show us a max density plan. And so that's what that is. And again, I want to emphasize it's a concept plan to get the conversation started. We heard from the community concerns about the density, about traffic, about pressure on public services, and just the impact that this kind of development would have on the community. And we heard that loud and clear at our meeting on December 2nd. Okay. So that's a 30,000 foot over. We're here to continue to listen and learn and work with you and the community to do something that's palatable for all, understanding that the community was not very excited about what we showed them on December 2nd.
Okay. You got any questions, sir?
Yeah, just real quick. When we get into this a little more, can we get a history of where it was, when it was approved, how many lots were approved, just the history of where we're at, what stage it was left at, and how long ago?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Buck. Mark Denreader, Director of Community and Economic Development. So the original PUD for Miller Ranch was approved in 2007. That was for 193 units. And the property is 900 and, how many acres? 70. Yeah, 970 acres. So this is a PUD amendment looking at changing it from the 193 units to 1,400 units.
When it was a PUD originally approved back in 2007, at what point was it left? Was it preliminary plat, final plat, everything was done, ready to go?
So, oops, sorry. So it's zoned. It has the zoning in place. I believe one plat was finalized and another plat, I believe, was underway. Those were it wasn't built, so it's still vacant. But the zoning was in place. And so if they wanted to use the current PUD that is there, platting is what would be the next step in order to develop as it's currently allowed.
Okay. And the only reason I bring that up is if a final plat is not approved within 12 months of a preliminary plat, it voids that application? How do I read that? And a new application would have to be submitted?
So plating would have to be done regardless. I don't have the plat history in front of me at the moment. I could certainly get that for you, but the zoning would still be intact, so to speak, right? That piece of the entitlement would still be in place, which is the current Miller Ranch PUD. Like I said, I can certainly get the plating history. I just don't have that off the top of my head at the moment, with the understanding that if they change this PUD, all of the plating would have to start over anyway.
Yeah, it was just concerning. It's been so long.
Yes.
And we're doing an amendment to something that was approved back in 2007. So I just want to make sure that a new application rather than an amendment isn't in order.
In some ways, the amendment is essentially a new PUD. It's just because it is already zoned PUD, and they would be essentially keeping that name. That's why we're calling it an amendment. In reality, there's not really any difference if it was a new PUD or this amendment to the PUD. The difference is that we're starting from a PUD zoning instead of from ag or some other straight zoning.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure. Oh, great question.
Yeah, and if I may add, so as you might expect, initially, prior to the initial PUD application in '07, it was zoned ag and then rezoned to the PUD.
Commissioner Schroeder, you have anything?
I'm ready to hear what they got.
Okay, well, with that, Garrett, you just want to walk through,
Sure thing. So my name's Garrett Graham. I'm with PCS Group. I'm the land planning consultant and landscape architect consultant on behalf of the owners. So I'll just kind of give, again, kind of like a quick little overview, similar to kind of what Doug had been talking about, but Miller Ranch is approximately 5 to 6 miles north of downtown Kiowa and Elizabeth. And like they said, it was originally approved for PUD back in 2007 for around the 200 lots on those 970 acres. And then since that time, the property's sat undeveloped and with just a single plat on it. And because of the changing market and the desire for smaller lots out in this area to make things more affordable, we're basically pursuing this PUD amendment to increase, to the 1,400 units we'd mentioned previously. And that would basically kind of show lots ranging between an acre, quarter acre, and an eighth acre. Just basically a mix throughout the community. And Jennifer, I don't know if you want to go to the next slide, please. So right now, this is the amended PUD bubble plan that we are showing with the unit count increases up on the screen here. The yellow areas are the residential areas. The lighter green on the outside edges are open space areas. Essentially what we're showing here as part of this amendment is multiple kind of clustered neighborhoods throughout that are centered around neighborhood park spaces. Like I said, on the outside edges, we're showing an open space buffer with recreational kind of passive open space trails kind of circumventing around the outside. And really main points of access throughout we're proposing is County Road 154 is on the south end of the boundary of this site. They would basically have a collector road that comes up and connects to the east side of the site on County Road 29. So in total, with the neighborhood parks and the open space that we're showing here, like Doug said, we're showing approximately 40% open space throughout. And right now with this PUD amendment, we're looking at traffic impact studies, water studies, and drainage studies as well.
So you're looking at that now?
Correct.
You haven't completed?
That is part of this first PUD submittal we'll be making here soon. Yes.
Okay.
And with that, yeah, that's kind of like another kind of high-level overview of what we're kind of showing with this PUD amendment.
When do you think the traffic study will be done, and you're going to submit this with the PUD, as you said?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, so for this first submittal, because of the county requirements, we're just submitting a traffic letter saying that the traffic study will be completed. But I believe the actual traffic study will be happening here within the next month or so.
So, Mark, would we not need that traffic study, not just a letter, but we need a traffic?
Yeah, ultimately for formal application, a traffic study would be required.
Okay. And then as far as water goes, because I'm really concerned about water, there any study being done on that?
Yes,
As
there's
well?
Dina Telly Water out of Boulder is doing our water study.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Dina Telly Water Consultants out of Boulder.
Okay, and then sewage? Are there any,
Yeah, so there's two metro districts associated with this that were currently in place, the Miller Ranch Water and Sanitation District, as well as the Miller Ranch Metro District. Both of those districts were put in place and kept alive, although no bonds were issued. They stayed in existence, and Corey and I now are on the boards of those two districts. So the plan contemplates the Water and Sanitation District to pay for all of the water and sanitation treatment required for this community, as well as the infrastructure through the Metro District. So all of the infrastructure, off-site and off-site, that may be required would be paid for through the Metro District, and water and sanitation through the Water and Sanitation District.
then I don't know who's responsible, Mark, but as far as public safety goes, as far as adding this many homes, fire, I'm concerned about fire protection, law enforcement, EMS, things of that nature, road and bridge. So who's responsible for getting those studies? Is that your department, or does that fall back on these gentlemen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. So ultimately, during the formal application process, we have referral agencies, the entities you just mentioned, and we will, be connecting with them and providing the application for them to review, and they will be able to provide feedback to us, and then we can assess it at that point, see if more or less, is needed with each of those agencies or departments, and then it just moves forward to Planning Commission ultimately and the Board of County Commissioners for your review.
Then we, maybe you left one out, we're talking about schools too, so that's going to be a huge impact. Okay.
Yes, they are included.
All right.
We have a,
As it relates to schools, we'll contemplate either a land dedication if need be, or a cash in lieu based on whatever's deemed the more appropriate.
Say it again, land dedication
Either a
or
land
what?
dedication for a future school
cash in
site or
lieu?
cash in lieu of.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's typically the two options in terms of similar developments I've done. It's either land and dedication or cash
Now,
to the school district.
I did have a chance to talk to the superintendent of schools yesterday for the district that this development is in, and Elizabeth Schools. And basically, what he said was they don't have the capacity, but they are relying on the charter school system potentially to move forward with any growth in the county. He does not feel they can get a bond issue passed for a new school, and they would be relying on that charter school system. So just to throw that out there and make you aware of that, that's what he informed me. He's somewhat confident that they could make that happen through the charter school system, but it's never a guarantee. But he was pretty confident he couldn't get a bond issue passed for additional funds.
Right, understood.
I don't know if you've gone, how far you drilled down into some of these questions perhaps, but what kind of build-out timeline or would you be looking at?
Well, historically, on a community of this size, would probably be built in 4 or 5 phases, and would take somewhere between 4 and 6 years from start of build to finish build-out.
For each build-out?
No, in total?
In total?
In total, sir, yes.
That would be impressive in 6 years to put that many up. That hasn't been our pattern here in the county at this point, so.
Right.
Interesting.
It could take longer, depending on demand in the marketplace.
Okay, and roughly what kind of price point are you looking at?
Well, so hence the need for the smaller lots with the feedback we've gotten from the home builder community for the price point that's attainable for most of the people, smaller lots, smaller homes. I don't know that we've gotten to a point to say we could tell you what the average price point would be, but I can't tell you that the smaller the lot, the smaller the home, the smaller the price point, and hence the design of those 1/8 acre and 1/4 acre lots to accommodate smaller homes, to be more reachable to the general public from a price standpoint.
How about a range?
Range?
Yeah, how about a price range?
Probably 400 to 800,000.
So, from looking at that, are we all looking at just single-family dwellings then?
What we've got designed as single-family dwellings, there could be some attached townhome type product. We haven't shown that yet. We could. There's no multifamily on here. We're not opposed to any of that, but right now what we're showing is all single-family.
Okay, that's all the questions I have right now.
I don't have any other questions. Do you have any questions?
Not at this moment. I'd like to see the rest of the presentation, obviously, and get into, some of the neighboring densities and the zonings and all of those type of things, and I assume that's what this presentation is gonna lead into?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, we had our initial meeting, Jennifer, in December, or in November?
December 2nd.
And then met with the public and gotten the feedback, and so now, again, after this, we'll come back together and talk further through this and talk about all the questions, concerns, and where we can come up to find something that's mutually agreeable to everybody, so.
Did you make any adjustments between the community meeting and, or based on any feedback you received at the community meeting? Did you make any changes before the concept brief today?
So what feedback we got initially, obviously, there was a lot of pushback on just the overall density, but particularly as the lots that are bordering the perimeter of our property that are up against the boundaries of other properties. So we've internally removed some lots on the northern border and western border to create more buffer between our community and the neighborhoods to the north and the west. And again, all concept plans based on the feedback that we got.
Okay, look forward to it.
Okay, if you have anything else you want to, we don't have any other questions.
No.
Do you have anything else to show us today, or?
I think not today. I think we're kind of where we are. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm sorry, I thought we were doing a full presentation today. As far as, like we would typically see in one of our meetings with schematics and aerials and everything else. This is the extent of the presentation today?
Yes, typically, it's up to the applicant to share with you what they would like you to see at this juncture, at this stage of their process. So, yeah, it's applicant driven.
I'll be honest with you guys, I'm a little concerned at this point. I thought you guys were gonna come in and say, hey, this is how we feel this will be a good fit for the community, why we're gonna be a good neighbor, and show us some of your, kind of not a preliminary plat, but just kind of an overall thought process on where these lots are gonna be placed and what the neighboring densities are and some of those kind of ideas. I thought that was kind of what we were gonna go over. This is actually my first brief, so maybe that's normal, but that's kind of what I was hoping we could cover today.
I echo the same.
So we weren't given a specific agenda, but we can absolutely show you the site plan that we presented to the community.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, yep. And again, what we're showing you is a work in process. This is shared with
No, I
the
understand.
commissioner, exactly what we showed to the community.
I just
last month.
I don't want to let you guys go until we
No,
get
and
as
again,
much
we-
information out of you as we can.
Absolutely, and we're
As fair as
here to
it
do
can
that.
be, and we-
Absolutely.
Trying to-
We weren't sure exactly
And knowing
how far you want to get through. Go ahead,
did
Corey.
do a full submittal at the end of December. At that point, we found out that we had to have this concept brief prior to the commissioners looking at what was presented in the application. So I think that's where the disconnect was. So
Gotcha.
we apologize for that, but
Oh, no
we
worries.
have submitted a full application, and we will submit it again after this, but I was told that you wouldn't look at an application submittal until this meeting.
Mark, I didn't know we had that application submitted.
Yeah, it has not been, we haven't looked at it, it hasn't been
We
deemed
haven't seen it.
complete. No, it's,
We haven't seen anything.
it was, yeah.
But
Once it was submitted, we were told that this meeting had to
Yeah.
take place first.
we submitted it, it's not been submitted to you, but,
Yeah, so we're out in the dark right
yeah,
now.
no, I
We're going,
understand.
what are we
Well,
doing here?
We, not sure in what you have seen or not seen.
Yeah, very
Now that we
limited.
know, we'll tell you, we'll show you what,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very limited.
okay,
Got it.
no problem.
Well, this can't take place after we've seen the application. So it's, at that point, we're waiting on the full presentation. The intention behind these concept briefs is just to kind of get an overview from you. If we see any big red flags, say, maybe you ought to look at this, maybe you ought to look at that. It's more of the 30,000 foot view of what Byron was talking about was the intention of when we first started doing these concept briefs.
Well, and I agree, but I don't have enough information to even tell you if I see a red flag. I mean, it's,
Understood. No, I did not realize today that you guys hadn't even seen what we submitted, so let's show you what we have.
just a little bit, just a taste.
So here's the site plan that actually shows the lots.
Is it possible to zoom in on that? Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
So each square in there obviously represents a lot. And then there's a graphic on the lower right corner which gives you the numbers on the neighborhood density. But you can see the lot layout here. And the lot sizes are color-coded as shown on the matrix in the lower right corner.
And just to add a little bit more color to this graphic that we have up here today. So we're essentially showing the different densities like Doug had mentioned, and this is just a conceptual lotting plan we've put together. This is not something that we are submitting with the PUD. It does not require it because we're not getting to this level of detail yet for the project. But just in general, this is the site layout goes, and what we're showing here. There's a pretty large drainage that runs north to south through the center of the site. There's also an existing oil and gas pipeline that runs northwest of the site as well. You can kind of see labeled there. And basically what we did with this concept is to show general lotting, general road layouts, kind of generally how our open spaces would be laid out. So generally open spaces on the outside kind of fringe of the property. What we're proposing also, because of adjacent properties, is to show about 100-foot buffer from any kind of lots on the Miller Ranch property to the adjacent property line. Within those open spaces, it's more than likely just to have just passive open space trails just for recreation, throughout. And then down on the southern portion of the site, again, like I kind of mentioned, we have all these kind of clustered neighborhoods with neighborhood parks that are kind of centered in the center. We're proposing a community center for the residents of this site in the center. And then previously, we were showing potential commercial down at County Road 154, but basically from what we've been hearing from residents and other people, that's not conducive to this site. So we are moving forward with this application by not showing that commercial that we're showing right now on the map. So that will not be on the PUD amendment. And again, like I said, this is just a conceptual lotting scheme that we've put up just to kind of visualize what it could potentially look like, after the PUD would be amended.
So you mentioned a buffer zone. Is that just going to be open space?
Correct, yes. And its potential there could be maybe some fencing somewhere along the lines there too to kind of buffer views.
Okay.
Over the past 6-9 months, we've had a couple of 3 that have come before the board, and they have arranged the densities so that the higher density was toward the middle part of the property, and the larger lots were on the outside to kind of create that flow. And so I would encourage maybe take a look and see if there was a possibility to duplicate that. That seemed to help alleviate some concerns from the close neighbors as far as what their view is of what they're looking at. And that seemed to work well for them. Maybe it won't work for the configuration of your property here, but I'd encourage you to at least take a look at that and see if that was something that might fit into it.
That's a great point, because we've actually internally kind of already discussed doing something like that, where the 1 acre lots would be a little bit closer to the outside edges, so that way there's a little bit more kind of gradual transitional zoning as you get closer to the center of the site.
Do you have anything else to show us today?
Graphically, this is all we have. We did submit a preliminary traffic study, not a formal traffic study, but it's in the works right now, and it will be submitted. We got a preliminary drainage study, which was submitted, you haven't seen yet. And what were the other? I think the graphics that you see here were part of that package. And the more formal traffic and drainage study are in the works right now. And once you formally see this and respond back, those will be ready. And I want to emphasize that this is a conceptual site plan based on feedback that the thought about putting the density in the middle, creating more buffer on the perimeter. We're here loud and clear, and we are absolutely open to doing just that.
And where was the location for the water and sanding plant?
So, go ahead, Corey, you want to?
It'll be as you enter 154 from the south side. It is about a quarter-mile on the right side is where it's currently plotted.
I do. I have actually some major concerns. On that map and just on that overhead right there, I'm not seeing anything close to this subdivision as far as compatibility issues. That's a big concern of mine. We are currently at 3,000 homes on our housing needs assessment study being called for the next foreseeable decade. We are at 9,300 in the pipeline, and this is a significant add to that number. Definitely concerned about traffic, just density in general, and compatibility with the surrounding areas. I'm familiar with that intersection there and those roads, and it's rural. It has a rural feel to it. It is, I was hoping we could see zoning of the neighboring lots today, but that would be in the formal presentation. Without that, just going off the last time I drove out there, I would say they're anywhere from 5 to 10 acre lots, some larger, some 35 acre lots, larger than that perhaps as well. So quite a mix, but this to me is very concerning. So I just want you to know that and be aware of that.
Mark, anything else, sir?
Nothing to add, sir. Thank you.
Gentlemen, anything else you want to say before we close this
Appreciate your
meeting?
time and your comments, and look forward to working with you on something that works for everybody.
Okay, we'll close this concept brief at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.